So I originally wasn't really into Resident Evil. My first ever game was 5 back in the 360 days. I remember renting it from a Blockbuster of all places. Funnily enough, being the last thing I ever rented from a Blockbuster before, everything started to suck. But for a long time, that was my only experience with Resident Evil. All the way back in 2011. Do you even remember what happened in 2011? Skyrim came out that year. Like, the first version of Skyrim came out in that year. And I was playing Resident Evil 5. I don't remember what inspired me to do it or what I was thinking, but I decided that it was about time I got myself more familiar with this franchise. So starting with the HD Remaster, I was going to play every single Resident Evil game. It starts when I get my hands on Resident Evil Origins Collection and booting up the HD Remaster of 1. By the way, just ignore the fact that this is modded with Neptunia characters in it. I did that like years ago and just completely fucking forgot. And get used to it because it's not the only game that I modded. I didn't know at the time of playing this game, but not only is it like the best intro game to the series, but it also changed a lot from the original PS1 release. Which, just so you know, none of the PS1 games are in this video. Maybe in the future, I did start an RE1 playthrough a while back, so maybe I'll finish that. But anyway, this game is awesome. I wouldn't realize it until I started playing RE2, but the Resident Evil format of finding items and taking them to other places you've seen before is just satisfying in so many different ways. Figuring out the puzzles here is super satisfying because the answers are always somewhere around. It's just up to your intuition and navigating the rooms thoroughly to reveal them. I especially like how the game rewards you for strategically killing zombies. Wasting your ammo on every given zombie you see will put you in a bad spot later down the road, so it's better to conserve your ammo wisely and decide which zombies are okay to kill right now or leave them be. Because for the most part, they're kind of easy to avoid, especially in this game. But yeah, this game is pretty awesome. If you haven't played it, do yourself a favor and do that. Just don't pick Chris. Ugh. I went to one of the best gaming experiences to one of the most boring. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you that RE0 is one of the worst games in the series, because I'm going to get to that later. But RE0 definitely has a lot to live up to. It's a prequel, and they wanted to capture the same feeling as the original game, but just kind of fucked it up. The plot makes no fucking sense, and it doesn't even make sense as a prequel story, because nothing that happens in this game gets mentioned later, nor does the events even affect later games. Like, it's just such a nothing plot. The gameplay itself is fine. It's not as good as 1, the puzzles are a bit more confusing. I like the 2-player aspect. It's just not as fun. It's not offensive in any way. It's mainly the plot. The plot itself is so offensive, it might as well be a slur. This game sucks, but it's kind of cool that after beating it, you can replay it again as Wesker. Okay, gotta give it to them. That's pretty fucking cool. This is the GOAT of all GOATs. This game is fucking amazing. I love the pacing, I love Mr. X, I love the gameplay, I love the puzzles, I love the atmosphere, I love exploring the RPD, I love killing zombies. This game is just fucking awesome. I feel as if this game is the most rewarding to the player for exploring. Like, there's just so much to find in this game. Even on repeat playthroughs, I still find more shit I didn't do previously. This game is just so fucking awesome. So much so that I bought it again on Steam just so I can have even more fun with it whenever I damn well please. God, I hope the next one is just as good as this one. Jesus fucking Christ. So, I was originally going to give this game hell. I was going to rip it apart and tell it how much of a bitch it is for the way it was designed. But upon replaying it to get the footage for this video, I realized my initial criticisms were a bit harsh and hypocritical of me. Resident Evil 3 Remake is a good game. I don't think it's any better than the previous game. In fact, I would go as far as to say that only the first bit of this game is where it's good. You have a city to explore and find things. Sure, the game is a little handholdy by directly telling you where to go, but at least there's other things to do while you're on your way to accomplish that. Like this thing. But it's the moment where you leave that section of the city that it starts to get not so good. Like, it's fine, but it's not something I want to go back to. and the lack of replayability on this one is staggeringly low. The previous game had so many extra side stories, allows you to unlock infinite ammo, a handful of costumes. The replayability on this one is high. But this game only gives you one costume to buy, and the other things you can buy for replaying the game are coins, lockpicks, bolt cutters. I'm sure there's more to buy and unlock if I just got good ranks and played on higher difficulties. But looking at it like this, why am I able to buy things that I can already get by just playing the game? It's like starting early with a few things you're not supposed to have. This isn't breaking the game because I have overpowered items, it's breaking the game because I have access to shit I shouldn't be able to. That'd be like if Resident Evil 2 allowed you to just have the keys at the beginning of the game so you didn't have to go looking for them. Like I said, the game is good, it has good aspects, but it just doesn't hold up to the previous game. If you like it, that's fine, I can see why, but I just can't enjoy it to the same degree as the previous game. Also, Nemesis sucks. I had no expectations going into this next game. The only thing I knew about Code Veronica was that it was a Dreamcast exclusive for a while. And you know what? I fucking love the Dreamcast. So maybe this game will be pretty fucking good. And fuck, it was better than good. It was fucking great. Code Veronica is my favorite of the classic style. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's the pacing. Maybe it's the way the areas are built. Maybe it's the puzzles. I don't know exactly what it is that I like about Code Veronica, I just know that whatever it was doing it pretty fucking good. Though, while I love Code Veronica, dude, that final boss is something else. It is easily the hardest final boss of any Resident Evil game. Especially when you go in unprepared because they don't set you up at all. You have better been making sure you have been conserving as much ammo as you possibly can because you're going to need it for this fight. It is a pain in the ass. This was my loadout going into the fight, and I was never even close to killing it. I had to use up all of my ammo and knife it to death. Apparently this game has the best knife to ever exist in Resident Evil, which is crazy because it carried me to finally finish the game. I thought I would have to start all the way back to an earlier section to fix the hole I dug myself into, but thank God this knife saved my ass. Other than that boss, I fucking love this game. I bought the Dreamcast and PS2 version as soon as I could because I liked it that much. Just to give some clarification, Resident Evil 4 Remake was not out by the time I got to this game, and even now I don't have the funds to buy the remake, so this is what I had to settle for. And I'll be honest, at first, I didn't like it. I first got this game way back during my Resident Evil 5 days when everyone kept telling me that RE4 is the best game in the series. So I bought it, and I could never get into it. I think I would just get right after the giant fight and always drop it. I don't know why, I guess it just didn't click with me. So fast forward to now and finally have an excuse to finish this game. And I still didn't really understand the hype. Don't get me wrong, my playthrough was fun, but I just can't see myself liking it to the degree that everyone else has. I would absolutely play through it again, but probably not after I played the remake because, man, that remake looks so fucking cool. This is another one I heard really good things about when it initially came out. I heard it was supposed to be a return to form, going back to what made Resident Evil good in the first place. The game is fine. It isn't great by all means, but it isn't bad. It's fun for the first playthrough, but you can definitely tell that the game was not built for the system it's played on. Originally, this game was a 3DS exclusive. Can you tell? I did like the scanning mechanic. It held find items I wouldn't otherwise notice, and I really liked the aesthetic of this game. It kind of felt nostalgic to me for some reason, but there were a lot of areas in this game that were just straight up bullshit, and I would not want to go through another full playthrough. The music doesn't shut the fuck up, and the plot direction confused the hell out of me. Why do different episodes take place in different points in time? Like, you'll be playing in a present event, and then the next chapter it sends you months before the events that you just played. That's confusing. This game is fun. That's not even biased for it being my first game of the series. This game is just fun. I can always go back to this game because of how expressive your loadout can be, how overpowered you can make yourself for some missions, and with friends this just becomes one of the best co-op experiences ever. It's a white egg.
Back up.
I've actually been playing it a lot with a friend recently, and we've just been having so much fun with it. Fuck that body in particular. It's supposed to fall.
You know what? Hang on. I got an instant fix for the situation.
Yeah, it's supposed to fall. That's so weird that it's not. Oh. Wait, I did not know that had physics to it. Hold up. There he goes.
We're horrible people.
Oh my god, Brian, he still has physics even after hitting the ground.
Seriously? What the fuck? Wait, let me try.
I was about to say, where'd he go? Hold on, wait, I gotta go down there.
Can you knife him?
Barely. He does move when I knife him. Interesting. This game is just a fucking blast with friends. The over-the-top explosions and writing just kind of adds to that experience. Like, there's nothing this game does wrong, but there's nothing it does right either. I think that in-between place just makes it a perfect game to fuck around in. Also, has my favorite Mercenaries mode. Like, goddamn, this Mercenaries mode is fucking awesome. Yeah, just keep doing that. Perfect footage. No, yeah, just keep doing it.
We're gonna do it for 5 minutes.
No, this is awesome footage, actually.
I mean, you need a talking point that's at least, like...
That'll be an awesome ending piece.
You fool.
This game is so boring. Not even the bad, it's good kind of game. Like, just what it does is boring. The pacing of it is boring. The characters are kind of bland. And the fact that this was an episodic game just sounds fucking annoying. Like, I didn't play it when it was new, so I didn't have to worry about that, but like, I can only imagine. And to top it off, the way this game was fucking released is weird and confusing. Like, this game is free on some platforms, just for the first episode, but some platforms make you pay for the first episode. That doesn't make sense at all. I can't even imagine, like, this game releasing in an episodic format, because, like, nothing hooks me into the game. I don't give a fuck about anything that happens in this game. The levels are boring, there's little to no puzzles in some areas, and there are even some levels that are formatted like you can take a stealthy approach so you don't have to fight anything. But there's nothing that supports the stealthy option because the game is ass. I will give the game this. I do like the controls. Combat-wise, it feels very smooth. The gunplay feels nice. It's just a shame that everything else is just kinda whatever. Oh my fucking god. This game. I remember when this game first came out. I remember playing it when it first came out. I remember liking it when it first came out. I was an RE6 defender for a while because I was under the argument that if this game had no connection to Resident Evil whatsoever, it would have been a good game. Oh, how naive I was. This was under the impression of just finishing one of the 4 story modes. That's right. I had an opinion before I actually beat the game back then. But don't worry, I changed my ways for the better. This time I made sure to beat all of the story modes before having an opinion. And man, I wish I didn't. Because this game fucking sucks. Each story mode is approximately 5 hours long, give or take. It isn't bad considering how long standalone games can be, but fuck me, they feel like they take eternities. They pad out those 5 hours so fucking long, and it feels like it takes 5 hours just to get through one fucking chapter. And there are only 5 chapters in each story. The gameplay just sucks so fucking much. There's so much extra bullshit on top of the basic shit you can do, but why would I even want to do that shit when doing this does the job just fine? What the fuck does this do? The only way I kept myself sane throughout this game was replacing some of the models with Neptunia characters, and honestly it did make for some funny bits. So you know what? At least I have that. Thank God there are Neptunia fans in the Resident Evil modding community, because otherwise I would have lost my shit over this game. It takes forever to do anything. The chapters feel like there's nothing going on, but so much going on at the same time. Chris is a bitch, Leon is a bitch, what the fuck is going on with Ada at any given time? This is the worst game in the franchise. This game took years off my life to finish, and I'm never touching it ever again. Fuck Resident Evil 6. Finally, something to break me from this monotonous mediocrity of bullshit. Resident Evil 7 was a break I needed after finishing RE6. This game was just good. I have no deep messages here or anything profound to say about this other than that it was just good. Although after playing through RE8 and looking back on this, I do have something to say. This game doesn't really make use of the fact that you have access to weapons. It felt more like they had to make sections with killable enemies or bosses, not because it felt right for the plot, but just so you had something to use your ammo on. It feels more like if there were no killable enemies and all you had to do was outsmart the enemies and kill them in some other means, that the game would have benefited from that. The enemies in this game are trivial. They don't feel like they're part of the flow of the game. The boss fights just kinda happen. There's no build up to them. They just appear and all of a sudden you have something to use that ammo on. Even in the final section of the game, having a weapon just doesn't feel necessary. If all you had were the bombs, then it would have felt more right. There's a lot of downtime in this game where there's no threats you have to worry about, and if there is, they're unkillable. Which, again, makes having a gun feel pointless. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just think the gunplay felt forced on them rather than it being part of the story. But hey, that doesn't make it any less fun. I even tried some of its DLC, like the one where you play blackjack. That's fun. Not a hero? Not so fun. And that's funny, because there's more of a reason to have guns in that mode, and I don't like it. So, at the time of writing this script, I haven't actually played Resident Evil Village yet. So I think this is a good spot to shove in the spin-off games that are considered canon before moving on to that. So apparently, according to my research, the Chronicle games are considered somewhat canon. Umbrella Chronicles is just a retelling of 0 and 1, but has a brand new scenario that ties into the events of RE4, so it gives some context of what leads up to that. But from what I know of Darkside Chronicles is that it's a retelling of RE2 and Code Veronica, with some new scenarios that aren't as important, but I decided that these games aren't worth playing through anyway because, well, for one thing, this gameplay is very monotonous, and I did not have fun with the first couple of levels, and also, what the fuck. Then there are the Outbreak games, which from what I was able to research, are supposed to be canon, but there are multiple branching paths, and since no future games make references to them, nobody knows exactly which events are canon. And because of that, I didn't even consider playing these games, so maybe they'll be for another day. And finally, motherfucking Umbrella Corps. Why is this game considered canon? What makes it canon? What is even going on in this game? This is the only game in this section that I have played a significant amount of, and god is it bad! It's like they tried to make Mercenary Mode its own game, but also added other game modes that you'd see in shooter games, like Capture the Point. Because that's what I want to do in my Resident Evil game. I want to sit in one place and allow tons of enemies to approach me and kill me. Because that sounds fun. I don't even see how this is appealing to anyone, because you die to anything. You die if you get touched. You die to birds. You die to breathing. Staying alive is one thing, but fighting back is another. This controls like ass! What the fuck is this perspective? You think I'm holding down the aim button, but no, that's just what the game looks like. This is fucking horrendous. Can we please talk about the final good game now? Resident Evil Village. This game feels like they built upon what RE7 introduced, made it better, and added more to it. Even the pacing is just like the last game. There's a lot more to do as well. It just felt like a better experience overall. The combat felt better. The environments were more interesting. The big baddies were more interesting. Their boss fights were fun. Being able to buy and upgrade weapons, that's nice. I even like that there's a new game plus that carries over items from your previous runs, and that after each run you get points to put into bonuses like infinite ammo or more weapons for your next run. That's pretty fun. I like it when games have incentives for playing New Game Plus. This is a really fun Resident Evil game. At some point I will have to come back to it to play the DLC, but for now, that's the end of my journey. That was every mainline Resident Evil game. 12 games in total beaten. starting from when I beat Resident Evil HD Remaster on April 21st, 2021, and finishing it when I beat Resident Evil Village on June 23rd, 2023. I could have easily finished this marathon up a lot sooner, probably even finished it within a year, but at the time of beating RE1, I didn't really think too much about playing the other games in the series that much until I finished RE0 in 2022, so technically that's when the marathon started. Also, I'm ADHD, so I couldn't sit my ass down to beat 12 games back to back like that anyway. Especially with what I had to go through in RE6, seriously fuck that game. Wanna know where I'd rank all these games? Like that. I hope you liked this video. If this does well, I'll make another one about the next game series I decide the marathon. I'm working on a few games as I'm writing the script already, so just let me know if you liked the video by hitting the like button, subscribing, and if you really want to give me a dose of dopamine, you can join the party by clicking the join button below. It'll really support me. Thanks for watching, and don't be a dick in the comments.